There's something that roughly 60% of Americans do regularly, something that 70% of men and 40% of women do at least once a month. Something that starts on average around age 11. It's free, it's private, it's available anytime, and for most people, it feels good, at least in the moment. Can you guess what it is? Pornography. One website alone receives over 42 billion visits per year. That is more than Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest combined. But almost no one talks about what it does to you. Not because we don't know. I think it's because the pleasures of a system dull the urge to question its flaws. It is hard to scrutinize what gives you free joy. But in 2025, researchers looked at what this habit does to the brain. And what they found should concern anyone who watches, anyone who knows someone who watches, and frankly, anyone who has a brain. The study came out of Chengdu Medical College and was published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience. Researchers invited college students into the lab based on their existing viewing habits, creating two groups. One group was occasional viewers with an average problematic porn use score of 12.5, and the other group were people with severe pornography addiction, with an average score of 40.8. Each participant watched a 10-minute pornographic video while researchers tracked everything: brain activity, vital signs, heart rate, and facial expressions in real time. Importantly, they also tested cognitive function. Before and after the video, participants took the so-called Stroop test. It's a classical psychological measure. The way it works is simple. You see color words spelled out like red and blue, but the ink doesn't match the word. You have to ignore the word and respond only to the color. So it measures attention, reaction time, and cognitive control. Now, at a first glance, you might expect the data to be straightforward. Two groups watch the same video, both experience arousal. Maybe the frequent viewers respond a bit more, nothing shocking. That is not what happened. The occasional viewers reacted the way you might expect. Their bodies responded to the video, showing natural emotional reactions like surprise and even disgust. Their brains processed the content and moved on. It was a normal response, nothing too alarming. But when researchers looked at the frequent viewers, the results were pretty concerning. The researchers used a comparison nobody wants to hear. According to the researchers, the brain patterns of frequent pornography users looked remarkably similar to those seen in people addicted to opioids. The areas responsible for decision-making, self-control, and reward anticipation, the ventrolateral prefrontal cortex, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and the frontopolar area, showed significantly enhanced connectivity. The brain's reward circuits were activated in a concentrated way that wasn't present with occasional viewers. This matters because these patterns push viewing from a choice to a compulsion. They increase the likelihood that someone keeps watching, even when it starts to take priority over work, relationships, and even their own well-being. And the thing is that the mechanism deepens over time. Regular porn exposure leads to intense and sustained dopamine release. The brain builds tolerance. What once produced arousal no longer works. So it's no surprise that viewers seek more content more frequently, and often the content gets increasingly extreme. The drive is just to reach the same level of stimulation as before. This is the escalation ladder that addiction researchers have documented for decades in cocaine, in gambling, in alcohol. Now, this study suggests that it applies to pornography too. Now, aside from the brain scans, the body told the same story. The researchers reported that the heart rate in frequent pornography users dropped during viewing, similar to the intense physiological calm that opioid users feel. And remember, they also tracked the facial expressions. The frequent viewers showed a paradox. They had higher pleasure responses like happiness, but also more emotional numbness with blank expressions. It's like they're experiencing both intense highs and emotional blunting at the same time. The occasional viewers, they actually showed way more facial reactions, like faces of disgust, surprise, and fear, suggesting they were less desensitized. And then came the cognitive results. After watching the video, frequent users showed declines in accuracy. Their ability to focus, to discern, and decide was impaired. The brain temporarily was less capable of doing what brains are supposed to do. Now, I want to be honest about the limitations here. This was a study with a small sample, 21 students. That alone is not enough to make general conclusions about humanity, but the patterns do match what larger bodies of research have been pointing towards for years. And among people who watch, the numbers are pretty significant. The majority do so multiple times a week, 15% watch daily, and the average user spends over 1 hour a week watching. Some studies say it's closer to 5. So this is not a fringe behavior. It is one of the most common habits on the planet. But is it really just a habit? There is a genuine debate about whether to call porn viewing an addiction. Some researchers argue that the label is misleading. Sex is inherently reinforcing. It is how we perpetuate the species. And pornography exploits this through novelty and infinite variety, which do create impulse control problems, but without necessarily fitting the framework of substance addiction. Some experts point out that there is limited evidence for physical withdrawal. For example, someone who watches daily likely won't shake or vomit if they stop. But others counter that pornography addiction functions like any behavioral addiction, comparable to gambling. The brain changes are real and measurable. And even the researchers of this study said that stopping after prolonged use could produce withdrawal-like reactions like anxiety, depression, and anger. So is it an addiction or not? Well, here's what I think. Whether we call it an addiction, a compulsion, or a habit, there is a pattern that a lot of people who want to stop find that they can't. And that, by any definition, is a problem. And the thing is, the effects do not stay inside one person's head. Research has found that the more people consume pornography, the less likely they are to intervene if they witness sexual assault. And men who progress to more extreme content report higher intent towards sexual aggression. Now, this does not mean that pornography directly causes violence, but certain consumption patterns appear associated with reduced empathy, altered attitudes toward consent, and disengagement when harm is occurring. The takeaway here is what starts as private doesn't stay private. It ripples out farther than you can imagine. The good news is that the brain is not static. Because of neuroplasticity, the patterns observed in frequent pornography users are not necessarily permanent. The brain can rewire, but it needs help. Psychotherapy is a primary treatment approach, and there's one intervention showing really amazing results. It's called acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. The core idea is different from what most people expect. ACT does not ask you to fight your cravings. It does not ask you to fight through the urges. It asks of you something harder, but ultimately more effective. It asks you to observe the urge without acting on it. And while that is happening, ACT shifts your attention towards something else. What actually matters in your life. Your relationships, your work, your sense of who you are, who you want to be. So the goal is not to defeat the craving. It is to build something so meaningful that the craving loses its grip. A 2016 randomized control study showed that people who underwent ACT showed a 92% average reduction in pornography viewing. More than half stopped entirely, and many maintained those improvements months later. As the saying goes, a man who lacks purpose distracts himself with pleasure. At the end of the day, the cage is real, but so is the door. there is a way to let it go. Here's what it comes down to. This is not a private habit that affects no one. The research hints that pornography changes your brain. It changes how you process emotions. It changes your ability to think clearly and deliberately. It numbs you to real intimacy while demanding more and more stimulation just to feel something. And it does all of this while hiding behind a culture of silence. Because people don't talk about what they do alone in the dark. But the consequences are real, whether you acknowledge them or not. It's not neutral, it's not harmless. This is something that takes from you every time you engage with it. Stop pretending otherwise. I know this is a sensitive topic, but if you liked the video, leave a like and let me know what you thought in the comments. Also, don't be shy about sharing it. I hope this message can reach whoever needs it most. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our weekly videos. We have very interesting ones coming. Until next time.